Shalom Israel. Quick scripture of the day. Sirach 19:29. That's in the Apocrypha. That's part of the Bible. It's in the 1611. So it's not a separate book, but they have separated and as another book, but it's really the Bible with the rest of the King James Bible. Apocrypha means hidden book. It's the red Bible we have along with the Bible, but you can find it in the 1611. So there's a lot of core things in the Apocrypha. It's a lot of detailed things in the Apocrypha, captivities, significant, prominent people, significant people. And a lot of, if you will, bridges the gap, of a lot of hidden, a lot of history taken away out of the Bible as it came to, its separate book. I think it's by the Destruction Group, Bible Destruction Group. I think they was also called the Masoretes, if I'm not mistaken. But, giving all praises to Yahweh, by Shem Yahushai, by Shem Kadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai. Double honors to the apostle, elder bishops, the great millstone. Much salutation to the brothers teaching the word for the hopeful elect, soon to be the elect, most high will. To the hopeful extended elect, shalom and blessings. And, it says a man may be known by his look, and it even says the wisdom will change a man's face. So, even among the brothers, when the brothers go into, a grocery store or a mall or walk the streets, or even around your job, they recognize your spirit as, austere. It's a different kind of spirit of the world. So they pick that up, that vibration. So don't be surprised when they look at you funny or they ask questions regarding what you believe in or why don't, your take on things, because you got a certain look about you. And it also applies to every man on earth, woman and child. But, man is the capsule of things when applying things upon the earth. We are the core beings, if you will, with any standard or with any, thing that involves moralism or not. Is man is looked upon like as the leaders of a country, leaders of organizations, congregations, what have you. I'm talking about the core leadership. They put women in different positions. Some of them prominent positions, high positions, but man is the core being. And it'll always be like that, even in the kingdom. But, it says a man may be known by his look, and one that hath understanding by his countenance when thou meetest him. So how you conduct himself, a character, and they often do that in the celebrity world. When they're interviewed, they say, how was it the first time you met this person, another famous person, what have you, and they describe it to a T because, it's almost like a first impression, like, and they describe, like as if you were reading a book, like, man, I think Jamie Foxx mentioned one time, the first time he met Denzel, and he said he came, Denzel had a presence to him, when they meet us, we have a presence to ourselves, how we answer and how we conduct ourselves, how we refrain from certain things, how we enter into certain things, conversations and topics and what have you. So, and then I found a picture of Trump. It's a million pictures of Trump. He's a guinea pig for mockery and parody now. So, but this guy, like, it to me, like, you know, and he's the president right now. He has a duty to do. He's suited, so to speak, a suit and tie, and he got meetings and he talks among congressmen, other people of his cabinet, and all that. But I don't know, certain times and certain pictures and certain things that's captured of him, man, he don't look too, it don't look too bright, man, or he don't look like he got it all. Look like he's crying out and dwindling down, so to speak. You know, doesn't look strong sufficient, and we know he's a puppet. So and elites among them are weak men. They're fragile. A lot of them are elderly people, and elderly really ain't got nothing to do with being fragile or weak. You do grow in knowledge, and you become a better and greater man as you get older. It should be that way. But when they get, that they really boast themselves in strength, along with pride, because they have might with their military power. So, when they are introduced to the world or to men of another nation or stature or whatever, they're going to come and show themselves as their strength. Like, yeah, how you doing? We got weapons, we got a military, we got power, we got financial stability, we got our we got citizens that are patriotic and very well groomed under our system, and they're that's why anytime they do the Olympics or they do even with the sportsmanship, that's a key word too, sportsmanship, or you sport yourself. So they'll do a halftime and they'll come out with people performing and put on a show, and they'll wave their banners and sing the Star Spangled Banner song. They'll put those elements in there to where people be like, damn, this is a great country, But those are the things that's kind of exaggerated too, through television, through media, through performing and all that, to where people are really kind of like, damn, they've seen certain things of America that America doesn't have it all. Even their presidents are set up to so-called be a leader of the country. I think that goes along with, they're going to disregard their princes and kings, so to speak, because they see, like, oh man, these people ain't got it all, man. Or they can't explain to me certain things. Like, I want to know about the strange lights in the sky and all this phenomenon going on, this angelic phenomenon. If they can't answer me, that I don't know. I can't, So America is really they're beginning to be in a position where they don't have the answers, especially concerning things that's going on prophetic that they have to answer to, because at the end of the day, people really want to know where they are in their spirit. I mean, this place was so-called bred on Christianity, so to speak, some kind of moral, moralism, to where, even if they go to war, they're defined as a Christian country, and like, look, we're Americans. We have the power, not only the power, but we have the Christian right to judge other nations, put sanctions on nations if we want to, because we're the ones that's intact with, with the powers that be concerning, God, concerning angels and all that. And it's really a lie. But they do deal with the left-hand side, spiritual left-hand side. They do tap into those spirits, those, things that allow them to be exercised as, like we always talk about, witches and warlocks and things like that. So, you know, um, so you have to, be a discerner of spirits and discerner of looks and all that. You have to have that intelligence. And I don't really like to use that word, but some form of brain power to examine and decode the world and decode spirits and souls to where you be like, man, these people ain't this person ain't right. So a man may be known by his look. What kind of look does he have? When he enters a room, what do he like? You have those people that come into stores. You see it on the camera, and now you looking from the outside. You on the outside looking in because you're looking at this tube, YouTube, TikTok, and you see a man come into a store and he's acting kind of funny, but and they probably realize that the people that's in the store with him, and then he'll go up there and he'll stand around, look around, and he'll look suspicious, but nobody really knows what he's up to, and really nobody suspect that he's going to do what some consider the ultimate thing is to go out to his car, come back, and shoot up the place. But so in this truth, we have certain abilities and powers to discern things like that, the nature of things like that, the looks of people, the stature of people, the inner workings of people's mind. They got to do it scientifically, do it through physical means by, trying to alter DNA and trying to alter, things in the body. And that's not how things work. You might have bits and pieces of that to where it serves, a representation. I mean, it serves, what do you call it? Some knowledge of things, but that's not the overall be all. Like they trying to do, they came out with that movie. What's it called? Minority Report, where they can detect things as in a person, detect something from a person's mind before they actually do the crime, because it's in their mind that they. Now you could think about, somebody could think about robbing a bank. They could think about robbing a bank every time they get broke, but they never will. So can you lock a person up for thinking to rob a bank, but he never does? And then they say, well, they call it what do they call it, entrapment. They say, well, if we gave him the opportunity and opportunity presented itself, he would do it. And maybe so. But that's why we got correction, and that's why we got leaders and to keep us straight, to encourage us not to do those things, a law to not to do those things. So if you have a law against drinking and heavy drinking and liquor, well, you say, well, yeah, but we can't just let everybody just run out wild like that and just drink crazy and have parties and rave parties and stay in and get drunk and get on the highway. No, and they do got discipline for that, but it's not really constructive enough to where people inside of themselves know how to balance it to where they never get drunk. They know how to balance themselves to where it says excessive wine is a mockery. So if you know how to balance yourself moderately and balance yourself with wisdom, it wouldn't be no wrecks of drunk driving, because everybody is disciplined. So America doesn't teach discipline, and America doesn't teach correction to that level of where they get rid of the problem. Instructions to where they get rid of the problem. To be instructed out of the tabernacle, out of the ministry, out of the America, and and you know, to some extent, and before I talk too much, getting close out, you know, things have to be applied, like Yahweh Shai. It's like, well, if we are kingdom and we kick people out of Jerusalem, and let's say our people keep going off, and you know, our people just now you got many of our people outside, you start losing your the relevance of your nation because there's so many that have gone out and so many have get kicked out, and you be like, and then they out there with the other nations outside of Jerusalem, and then you like, well, forget about them. You know, they're nobodies. What happened to them? Well, they got cast out, and then you be like, well, you know, and next thing you know, these nations are getting roused up because your people is among them, and they want to make war with you, and they want to be like, well, we say, well, we don't deal with him no more. He's out, but he say, well, he's crying out and he's praying and he's, you know, saying that he's of a different nature of us, so he's causing problems. And you might say that, hey, well, y'all do whatever y'all with him, get rid of him. We don't care. But you know, some of our people are sincere, and they really want to come back to Jerusalem. They really want to come back to the truth. They really want to be instructed. So you can't leave those people out. So, you know, that's what Yahweh Shai came for. So it says, that's why it said, don't look on the outwardly man for his appearance, because he just might, let's say you know, you see a pimp and he's like, got the pimp clothes on and all that. And he actually do have women that and then you be like, hey man, that's going off. You know what I'm saying? And you tell him the principles of, you know, how that leads to ill doing and evilness and wickedness. And he could change his life. At least you got to give him a warning, like, yeah, that you can get destroyed. You'll destroy yourself like that. Then he say, oh man, shit, I thought this was how it was. And my pops, I learned from my uncle. He was a pimp, man. I didn't know this and that. So that's who Yahweh Shai was talking about. And that's why he said, don't look on a man outwardly appearance, because our people got lost, and they got lost in the ways of doing heathen customs. And they really made sense out of that. Like, damn, it makes sense. Okay, we could do this. It makes sense. You know, we can eat swine because the Most High ain't worried about, well, he is. Because, you know, Most High even cares about the smallest things of his people. Like, you don't want to let your people eat something that's filthy. And, I mean, you know, like, because they eat the trash and garbage of the earth, so to speak. So you don't want your people eating bottom food, like crabs and lobsters and all that, because those are bottom foods. It'll increase their mind to want to be, you know, don't mind being, hey, I ain't nobody, I'm shit. I eat shit food, so I ain't shit. He don't want us to think like that. He wants to think like princes of power. So we're putting on a new look, and we're putting on a new character and a new stature, and it's according to the spirit of Yahweh Yahushua. Anyway, Holy is edifying. Shalom.